что это?
Расческа.
Расческа?
Да, расческа.
Мистер Скраббер, а это какая-то?
Ну, такая тема, да? Что это такое? Массаж?
А может это раскатывать? Что-то закатал?
Ну да. Ну, да, что такое?
Блин, прикольно. Огонь.
А, это для того, чтобы если у тебя театрально вот так вот укладывать, да?
Прикольно. Смотри, какой красивый пакет. Розовый. А, вот.
Magari poi non fuori niente.
Ah, sí, en el líder, en el Capravo.
Ya, però d'on?
Sí, de líder Barcelona, al costat de... Han estat molt en el mercat, que no són països francesos fins això.
That's true, yeah. No, I did my video and it sucked, and I did like 15 videos because I looked so tired on the video. But I did it.
That's because of the...
No. No, don't
Because
worry.
of us?
It was not.
You should have preferred.
It's Okay, I have 10 minutes to refresh myself. I won't watch it because I don't like to watch myself, but I repost it if it's on social media and stuff.
I have some questions, but like I don't know why.
Okay, I might get my book. I might get one of my books.
Yeah, so we can like put it inside.
I hope my English is okay. That's
Oh my
the
god,
most
it's so
scary
good.
thing.
Like, no.
Because when I'm stressed out, I don't know what I'm saying. I'm like,
Again, I'm gonna ask kind of the same questions on that as well.
I will take my time.
Try to not rush. I know.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
It's not one of those like cyclotrons or something.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna start like 10 minutes later, I guess. I don't have a call. Usually Magda has
That's your song of the day. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. No, it's not. It's actually refreshing. Yeah. I'm mostly scared of my English because when I'm tired and when I'm stressed out, I feel like my English is very bad. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I would just look at. Yeah. Yeah. Kinda. Yeah.
is it on
Oh, it's live. Okay, great. I can help fascinate. Okay. Yeah.
We are icebreakers. So first event, first day of the festival. So the connection between the video camera and the Instagram is having some problems.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, icebreakers.
Yeah.
They will make a sign.
Okay, yeah. Mm. Of course. Yeah. But it's okay. Chilling. Okay. Are you ready?
Hi.
We're very happy to be here during FestivalYA, the only festival for young readers in Romania. And we are over the top delighted to be here with one of our favorite authors. She writes books for young, but mostly new adult audiences. This is Morgane Moncomble. Say hi.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
We are so happy that you came here in Romania. So first of all, I just wanted to say that this is going to be a very casual conversation. We want to feel good, to have fun with these questions. These are books for, like I said, the younger audience. We want to have the readers have just as much fun as us while looking at the video, while seeing the questions. Like, everything's going to be very safe, casual, and yeah, we just want to have fun and talk about books and our love for books. And, you know, why write books like this during these times? So, yeah. I hope you're going to feel comfortable here. I know this is a very different kind of event, but like, we're very, very happy to be here in Cărturești together with our partners. We just want to have a good time. Well, here with me is Andrea. Both of us will ask questions, and like everybody else that wants to ask anything about these books in particular, about being a writer, a very young writer these days. If you guys want to ask about, I don't know, maybe the new adult genre, maybe romance, everything that you guys want to ask, we're here. Just like raise your hand or like let us know somehow that you want to be part of it. And we'll pass the microphone to you. So we don't want to be like just a Q&A kind of event. We take any kind of questions you guys have. So I want to start with like the basicest of questions, which is like, how did you end up being a writer? Why writing and not something else, especially these days?
So I started writing when I was pretty young. So I was 12. Around 12. I never really loved reading when I was really young, but when I was 11 years old, there was this girl in school and she just gave me her favorite books to read, and I loved it so much that I wanted to write my own stories, I guess, because I always had stories in my head, but this time I could let it all out on the paper. And so it was a different way to escape from reality and also express myself, I think. So yeah, I started writing and it was really fun at first. And when I was a teenager, I could actually see myself like doing this professionally. I think it's important to, I think writing is about finding your voice and expressing things that you care about. Important things or not, like just maybe for entertainment, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's important because as a reader, when I was young, it was like my safe place, you know, books. It was a place where I could actually find myself, and I want that for the younger readers today.
That's lovely. Can I ask what kind of stories you wrote when you were 12? Like, do you have your draft, your like some outlines of them?
Oh, I'm embarrassed now, but
like, this is a safe space.
yeah, of course. So I was 12, so it was the whole Twilight frenzy. So it was very fantasy, like werewolves, vampires, witches, and also a lot of love, because I love love. It's always been this way. But yeah, mostly fantasy and then some science fiction, because again, I get very inspired by the books that I read. So it was like the Hunger Games and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, going from a 12-year-old that writes stories during her free time to one of like in top 3 authors in France on all best-selling lists, like that's that's huge. How do you feel now that you're so successful? So like you're also very young, and this happened quite fast in a few years. You went from, you know, writing in your pastime for fun to being again, one of the most sold authors in France and in the whole world, actually. So like the first time you've seen that you sold 1 million books, how did that feel?
I didn't believe it. I cried, obviously. I mean, the first thought in my mind was, it is a mistake, like, it's not possible. And then I cried for little Morgane because I never thought that it would be possible. I started writing for fun, for escaping, like, my mental health, kinda, you know, when you're a teenager and you hate the world, and, you know, reading is a safe place, like I said. And now it's my full-time job, and it's everything that I love doing, and thinking that I can help younger readers today the way authors helped me when I was young. It's very fulfilling, and I'm very grateful that I'm lucky enough to do it. But yeah, most of the time I don't realize that it's actually my life. Like, I'm in Romania right now. It's crazy.
It's really amazing to have you here with us, and we've had a chance to exchange a couple of words. You're amazing. You're such a good presence to be around, and very inspirational. It's impressive what you've managed to achieve. You say you've been writing since the age of 12, but when were you published first?
I was published, so I signed my first contract when I was 20, so like 8 years later.
Yeah, so that was quite some time until you found your way to the publishing world. But then I feel like, from what I know about you, once you did that, you climbed the stages of success very quickly, to the point where now you have been crowned the queen of new romance, and you're in top 3 fiction authors in France. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's very nice.
And what does it feel like? There must be pros, a lot of pros, I presume, such as maybe being recognized. Are there any cons as well? Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well, of course, there's a lot of pros because I'm living the dream, and it's everything that I've wanted to do for so many years. So I'm fortunate enough to live, like, to actually. My job is my passion. Like, it's crazy. So I do what I want. I'm my own boss, you know. So I can do whatever I want, wherever I want. So I can travel, and yeah, I have that freedom that is very precious to me. On the other hand, the cons are the pressure, I think. The pressure, because I always want to challenge myself and be better, and I want my stories to obviously to be liked and appreciated, but I want them to help people and educate people, and I want to send a message. So it's always kind of a responsibility on my shoulders, I would say. And yes, but it's also a pro, because I'm happy to have readers tell me, oh, your book changed my life, or things like this. So, yeah, it's a good balance, I would say.
Yeah, I think the care that you have for your characters really comes across through your books, so that's wonderful. You've written 12 books so far, and it seems like you have constant inspiration to do so. Where do you find it? How do you find ideas for your books?
I don't know. I don't know. I think the inspiration is not really the problem. It's mostly more like the time, finding the time to write. There's not enough hours in a day, I would say. But I find inspiration everywhere. It could be like in my travelings, in the books that I read, in the TV shows or the movies that I watch, or just the conversations that I can have with people that I meet. And then just things appearing out of nowhere in my brain. So music also is a very good source of inspiration. So yeah, but when I started writing, my biggest inspiration was actually myself, kinda, because I was talking about things that I care about, or things that I experienced as a person. So it was very cathartic, is it? Yeah.
You mentioned music. What's your writing process like? Do you play music while you write? Do you have a specific place, setting that you like to write in?
I always listen to music when I write, so I don't write in silence. I think it's depressing, and because in the silence I can hear my own thoughts, and it's distracting, kinda. And I also hear my dog crying in the background, so I listen to music, and I think it helps set a certain mood, you know. Mm-hmm. So I'm really immersed in the story, and it's very inspiring in terms of melody, but also the lyrics to the songs. So yeah, and in terms of habits, so like we said earlier, I don't really like to write at my house, like in my apartment. I have a really great office with a desk, the bookshelves and everything, but I never write here because it's too distracting. So I go to coffee shops in Paris mostly, or when I'm traveling. And yeah, I have a normal day, like a normal person with a normal job. And I go from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful to find out about.
Speaking of schedules, would you say you're like a very organized author? Do you plot everything in advance? Do you like have everything set from the start, or do you go where inspiration goes, or like maybe something in between? Like, what would you say?
I would say I'm a control freak, so I'm very organized. I'm what we can call an architect. So when I start writing, I know everything in advance. I have to have like a kind of a board with every chapter, and so I know what happens in every chapter from first chapter to the end. It helps me like clear my mind, and this way I know where I'm going. But it always changes when I'm writing because my characters, they have their own mind, and sometimes they're not, like it's not happening the way that I planned it. So it's still very surprising for me.
I think that really feels when reading the books, because the worlds feel very, very lived in. So you can have a character that's like there for 3 pages, but you feel that's a fleshed out character. You feel that it has personalities and so on. You feel that it has some background experience, some other interactions with your character. So this is a world that's fully fleshed out, which is, I really appreciate that in the book.
Thank you.
And also it's very, very rare these days, because I feel like everybody is trying to follow some scripts and so on. And speaking of scripts, one of the things I also appreciate about your books are that you do use the tropes usual for like romance and young adult books and so on, but also there's also a twist all the time. So you would have some tropes that we all know and love, actually, but there's more than that. You always have to surprise us somehow. Do you do that on purpose? Is something that just comes naturally?
I want to say that I do that on purpose, but I think it's not true. Because, for example, after Nos âmes tourmentées, so this one, which was a very hard book to write. It was kind of depressing for me to write it. And after that, I thought, okay, I'm going to write like a very light book, like a feel-good book with a lot of happy thoughts and everything. And I started it this way, and then I got bored. I was like, no, this is not for me. And then big plot twists, and this is like a big dark theme happening. So I think it just comes naturally to me because I get bored kind of easily, and I always want to surprise my readers. So it's not your typical love story. That's what I would say. There's always something that would surprise you, like you don't expect it to be in this book.
Yeah, and also the genres themselves. So you write new romance. You write what's basically a love story. But there's also more than that. So, for example, this one, which is O toamnă ca să te pot ierta for our Romanian readers, is also a thriller. It has mystery undertones. This one is perhaps more of a classic romance, And this one, I would say, it's more of a coming of age kind of story, where you have to like challenge your traumas and try to process some very important things that happen in some girls' lives. And you know, it's a kind of a dark book here and there, but like you have all these genres. So my next question would be, would you do this for your following books as well? So you keep challenging us with new tropes, or like those old tropes but twisted a bit, and with like genres that like intersect. So the question is, are you planning on doing that for all your books in the future?
All of my books, I don't know, but yes, definitely. I think, like I said earlier, I want to try everything. I want to challenge myself. I don't want to be predictable. So I always try to, you know, write some hybrid books with a different genres. So in the season series, there are 4 books, and the 4 books are very different from each other. So the first one, like you said, is more of a thriller, mystery vibe, and yeah, and it was really fun. It was my first time doing this, and it was a risk, but I think I had fun, and the readers had fun reading it, and I think I want to do that again. For example, I want to come back to fantasy eventually, so maybe like romance and fantasy, or even writing like a crime, like a real crime book, you know. I mean, it is a crime book, but without maybe the romance, or even, I mean, I am writing currently a historical romance trilogy, so it's
Can't wait for it.
yeah, thank you. Me neither. Yeah, I can't wait to finish it.
No pressure, but yeah.
I will try my best. But yeah, it's fun to try new things and to be where people don't expect you to be, I guess.
Okay, so follow-up question. Don't you feel afraid sometimes that this might put off some readers, so you have a fan base? They expect some things from you. For example, they read Nozam. They expect some things from you, a sort of type of romance, or a sort of type of depth to the romance, and maybe not the mystery plots. Do you feel afraid that you're gonna alienate your fan base, or you feel like you should challenge them, and you know you caught them now, they loved one book, and they're gonna like try to expand their interests?
I am scared of this. I mean, maybe not anymore, but for a time I was scared because I kept doing different things, and when I had my first like big success, I thought, oh my god, the next one it has to be kind of the same because people expect it, especially for seasons, because the first one it's a very different book, and for the second one it was really hard to write it because I feel pressured. And when I was writing it, I was thinking, oh my god, it's so boring because there's no crime and there's no mystery. But it's honestly, I want to challenge them, and I think now they're used to it, so they know they don't know what to expect, and I think they like this. And for example, when I revealed that I'm writing a historical romance trilogy. And I had a lot of people telling me, oh, I don't like historical, but if it's you, I'm gonna give it a try. And I think that's the best compliment ever, even though they don't like it, but they're gonna try because they trust me. And I think it's the best compliment ever.
So this sounds like you have a trustworthy fan base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. They're the best. Yeah.
You've mentioned that sometimes you start out with a plan and you want to write exactly the things how you've planned them out, but then throughout the writing process you realize that maybe the story is a bit or lacks a bit of action, and you go back to that. So how do you react in this? How do you regroup your energy and kind of re-establish where to direct your focus in these situations?
I try to revise it, so I go back on what I wrote, and I try to know if it's really lacking, or if it's just if I'm just in my head because I feel pressured. But I'm very lucky to have a team around me. So I have my editor, so I can talk to her about it. So we can think about it together. And I have my friends also, so author friends. So I'm very lucky to have them. But most of the time I will go back on what I did. Sometimes when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, by the way, like it's actually good, honestly. Like you don't have to rewrite it, so you can go on, which is good. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is shit, so we will do it again. And sometimes I just start all over again because it happens.
So how long does it usually take you to write a book, would you say?
It depends. A few years back, it was like 4 months. But right now I have a pretty intense pace. So I would say 2 months tops per book.
That's very impressive. Wow, especially with the quality of the books and the stories, the plots. Would you say you have a favorite character? I know
it's
you're
so
not
hard.
supposed to ask this, but I can't.
They're my children.
It's a bit of a cheeky question.
How dare you? It's really hard, but I would say I have one. Wait. Can I say two? Like a female character and a male
go
character.
for it, yeah.
Okay.
But you dropped the bomb now, so.
Oh shit. Oh, sorry. My favorite male character, you don't know him because it's not being published yet in Romanian, but it's the 3rd book of the season series, and his name is Camille. And he's just perfect. I mean, no one is perfect, but he pretty much is. He has that husband material vibe, you know, and like daddy material vibe too, which is nice. And he's very respectful, and I love their relationship in that book. And as a female character, I really love Lily, the female character from book 2 of the season series, because she's very strong. Like I think she resembles me in a way, but in a better way. Like she's the better version of me. Like she's very strong and brave, and she has a dream, and she knows where she's going, and no one will be an obstacle in her dream. And I love that about her. She's very strong-headed.
So if you could choose starting tomorrow to become one of your characters and live life as one of them forever, which one would it be?
Well, I think it would be Magnolia, which is who is the female character of the 3rd book, because she's married to Camille. So I would want to be married to Camille. Yeah, I'm smart.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. You've thought it out.
Yeah, I did.
We are publishing the 3rd book very, very soon in February. Yeah, right for Valentine's Day.
Oh, perfect.
So yeah, it's a spring book, but like
very romantic.
Yeah. Valentine's and then spring is coming. So yeah, we cannot translate as fast as you can write.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Speaking of which, you said that you take a couple of months to write your books. That sounds like tiresome after a while. Do you feel like sometimes you need a break, or coming to events might help, but it's also tiresome as well after a while? How do you cope with being famous so sudden and having to do all these things, and the peer pressure and the pressure of the publishing houses or yourself, you know, having to constantly up your game and write constantly?
It's really tricky because when your job is your passion, it's really hard to set boundaries for yourself. So you're working all the time. You're working on the weekends, on vacation, during the night, the evening, and so you never stop. So yes, it's very tiring. And outside of just writing, you have social medias because you have to be active and present, and you have signings and promotion and interviews. So it's actually a lot for the body, but also for the mental health, I would say. Last year I took a break, like a long break. So I went to live in Korea, where no one could actually reach me, which was nice. But yeah, like in France, like in an everyday scenario, I try to. I know I don't try. It's really hard. It's really hard. I'm still trying to find like. Balance between the two, and I try to not work on the weekends, for example, or like tell myself, okay, your day ends at 7 p.m. and you don't work after that. But it's hard.
You mentioned going to Korea to cope with a bit of a burnout state, if I can call it that. How long were you there for?
I was there for a year.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't like a casual holiday for a couple of weeks.
No.
It was a full year.
Yeah. I wanted to live there just to have that experience. And I love traveling. And I went to Korea a few years back and I loved it a lot. And I think I needed that break, and not really break from writing, because I kept writing. I wrote 2 books during my year. But I was writing without the pressure of the deadlines, without having those promotional stuff like signings, interviews, and I think I found inspiration again. So it was a good decision.
Yeah, it's really good to have you back. It is understandable that from time to time artists might need to take a short break and refine their inner strength. So I wanted to ask you, you were born in France?
Yes.
You grew up in France, and then did you live anywhere else, or was it in France and then in Korea for this 1 year?
No, just in France. I was born and I lived in France my whole life. Sorry. And then in Korea for a year. But now I'm back in France.
Because something that is really surprising and admirable in your books is that it seems like you've done a lot of research and your action takes place mostly in countries that you haven't lived in. So I was wondering, why did that happen? Why is this your choice? And what's the process that you have to go through to kind of feel confident writing about different cultures?
I think my first books were set in Paris because I didn't know really anywhere else. I didn't really traveled until I was 22 or something. And then I wanted to see something else, because we have a book being set in a different country. It means you have different characters, because different cultures and different landscapes and different lives. And I thought it was interesting. And also, like I said, I love traveling, so I try to travel in the countries that I'm writing about. I have this book which is called L'As de Cœur, the Ace of Hearts in English, and it's about poker, and it was set in Las Vegas, so I went to Las Vegas. And then I have another one in Los Angeles, so I went to Los Angeles. And for the season series, I went in every city of each book. And I think it's very interesting, because when you're writing, it's really different. Like, you can see when you didn't go to that country and when you did. Like, it's very different experience. And I think,
So do you decide the countries and the cities in the plan-making stage and then plan out trips there? Or do you plan out trips and then think about including those places in your stories?
It depends on the books. Sometimes I travel there first and I love it so much that I want to write a book about it. And sometimes I just write the book and then I go and then I revise it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've spoken about traveling. Now I want to move the topic in the opposite direction, so online, the virtual space. One of the most important things that happen in Sufletele, noastre, zbuciumate, in Nozam, has to do with bullying and specifically online bullying. So it's a very sensitive topic. It's something that happens to a lot of young people these days, unfortunately. How did you decide? Did that happen to you, or it was a topic that you felt strongly about and wanted to write? How did you decide on this topic, and having this character that went through so much baggage, the abuse as well, but the other's response to the abuse and her reactions to it? So, you know, it might be even worse to have those around you not see that you are a victim, and instead of helping you, instead of trying to be there for you, acting so violently, even if it's online. People these days just, you know, it's so easy to write a message online, a hurtful message. How did that topic came up?
I'm lucky enough that it didn't happen to me, but I think it's more common than we think, especially in our generation. So yeah, it was a topic that I felt and still feel strongly about. The idea behind that was I wanted people to know that you have to be kind to people because you don't know what they're going through behind closed doors. You don't know what battles they're fighting. And I think it shows a lot, like deeply in this book, because Azale, you know, she went through something really, really dark, and she doesn't tell people because she knows that people won't believe her. She actually did, like she told someone, like an adult who was supposed to protect her, but they didn't. And then I wanted to talk about social medias because even though it's it can be a positive place, like, you know, promoting stuff and sharing your art. It can be really like a positive thing, and it can also be a very negative thing. And sometimes, you know, we always hear about teenagers mostly who end their lives because of social medias and because people are really mean to each other when they don't even know each other. And it always shocked me because I don't understand how that's possible. And sometimes people don't realize what they're doing because it's digital, so it's not the real world. So I wanted to write about it and show people that we're talking about actual human beings behind those screens, and it can be like it can go really far. So yeah.
I think this is very important, and more so because it's what's technically a romance book. So you have lots of books that have these topics, but they treat them as something separate, as if life is just that. And here in Sufletele, noastre, zbuciumate, you have this character that tries to move on with her life, romance will not fix her, but that's also happening in her life. She's a grown-up, she has other things happening to her, not just her trauma. It's more than her trauma. It's okay. We're having a nice chat. So another thing I wanted to mention about this is like the trigger warnings in the beginning. So I think it's very important. Many of us think it's a whole debate in book communities whether it's good to have trigger warnings or not. So they are spoilery, because of course it is. But you know, it's good when going into a book with those difficult topics, especially if you're a young reader, and readers are younger and younger these days, especially for romance. How do you feel about this? Did you like have a talk with your publisher, or you wanted this to happen from the start, to have the trigger warnings, especially for Nozam?
Yeah, it was a very natural decision, and my editor agreed, like, automatically. I understand that people don't like trigger warnings because it can be a spoiler, but my take on this is that if you know that nothing will trigger you, you don't have to read the trigger warnings. You can go ahead and read the book. But if I just want people, like, there are a lot of people who went through something similar, and maybe they don't want to go through it again in a book, because reading is supposed to be fun at first. So yeah, I don't want them to get triggered or hurt, and I want them to go into it knowing what they're going to read. So yeah, I always try to be careful.
speaking of the fun part in reading, so we've talked about this a bit earlier today before the event. Romance is a genre that we all love because that's why we're here, but sometimes maybe the judges in the prizes or the media, they sometimes do not look at it as a serious genre, as something that's worthwhile. And that's frustrating for many of us. What would you say is your favorite thing about romance, or the most important thing that people can get from it? And you would tell that to someone that does not agree, that does not know the importance of it.
I think it's stupid when people say that romance is dumb, because you can send so many different messages through romance. You can talk about so many things, and especially as a woman writing about women for women, in majority, of course, like you have a responsibility, and you can talk about very important and smart topics such as feminism, mental health, diversity, like so many things that are wrong in our society, and it's important conversations to have, especially with younger readers. So I think it's actually important. So yeah, it's frustrating when people say that it's just love stories and love is stupid. And actually, no, love is not stupid. Love is very important. And I think it's good to have, like, to talk about relationships between, well, a man and a woman, but not always, also other, like, couples. And yeah, especially for younger readers, like I said, because it's their first examples, like, of relationships, and I want to do it right. So yeah, no, I think it's important and it's not stupid at all. So
definitely agree.
Yeah.
I'll give the microphone to you, but if anyone has any kind of questions, please, like, raise your hands.
Yeah, hi. So
Hi.
I was curious, as a designer, graphic designer myself, how was the collaboration with the cover designer, and how does the final cover capture the key emotions or essence of the story?
Okay. Well, especially for the season series, so at first we have like a cover designer in the publishing house. So we talk together about what my book is, if I have any ideas, like elements that actually stand out in the book. And then we talk it out, and she just, sorry, my English. Yeah, so we work together. But for the season series, I had another cover designer that I really liked. She's a German. Her name is Miriam, and I follow her on Instagram, and I really liked her work. So I told my editor I want her. Like, this is gonna be great, because in France, we have always like photographs for book covers, and I don't really like that because I think it's not good for the imagination. So I wanted something like with like this, with elements and like no faces, you know. And so I talked with her, and I told her, okay, so my book is about this. I think the first one should have a violin because it's very important in the story. And I think the colors should be like this because it's in autumn, and I see it like in orange, kind of the leaves. Winter is, you know, blue and everything. So it's a conversation between us two, and we go back and forth. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the question from the audience. If anyone else wants at any point to ask Morgane Moncomble a question, please let us know. Just give us a sign. Yeah, for now we'll keep going. So going back to your characters, I think you previously referred to them as your children, which is very, very adorable, very cute. I wanted to ask you if you ever feel like while developing them, you can hear their voice inside your head, or do you have like, do you have moments where you feel like you converse with them, like you talk to them?
Yes, this is weird, but yes. I feel like I'm crazy, but yes. Actually, they're my children, but also they're a part of me, I think, because I put a lot of myself in all of my characters. So sometimes I discuss with them when I want them to do something, and they're like, no, I'm not doing this. So it's like they're actually taking taking a life, like ils prennent vie. Sorry. It's like they have a life of their own. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. But you know, because you spend a lot of months being in their head, so sometimes it's like they're a part of me and I'm a part of them. It's an experience. Yeah.
That sounds really intense.
It is.
Because of this, do you ever feel like it's difficult to let go once you reach the end of a book?
Yes, it depends on the book, but yeah, most of the time I have to have a few weeks or a few months of grief because you know they've been with me for a long time, so now they have to go. And it's always hard to let go, but especially when the book was hard to write. Like the harder the book is, the harder it is to let go. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Would you ever plan a spin-off maybe with some of the characters?
Well, I actually do that a lot, I think. For my first book, I did a spin-off after that. And for L'As de Cœur, I also did a spin-off. Most of the time it's because I think, you know, like the side characters are very interesting, and I want to tell their story. And some of the time it's the readers that ask me like, oh, please, we love this character. And sometimes I don't give it to them because I feel like, yes, this character is really interesting and fun, but I don't have a story in mind for him or for her, and I don't want to force it.
So you're slowly creating the Moncomble verse.
Yes, that's what I always say. I try to. It's very, yeah, I try.
Something else that's striking is that the female characters that you create in your books mostly have flower names. So what's the story behind that?
Yes, all of my main female characters have flower names because, well, first of all, I love flowers. I thought it was a good idea, and also it may be weird, but I think of women as flowers because they're beautiful, because they smell good, and because they're sweet, but also sometimes they can be a little sharp. And yeah, it's just I thought it was a good idea, but now like I have too many characters and not enough flowers. So I'm gonna run out, I think.
You could reuse.
Yeah, I will try to find something else, I think. Probably.
So what's your favorite flower?
My favorite flower is probably the tulip, but I love peonies too. Yay.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask a question? Yeah.
Yes, I'm gonna go back to you talking with the characters, and I have a different point of view. Did it happen to you, friends or people you know asked you to put their lives into your stories, their amazing love stories or life facts?
Did I have people to... Oh, no. Thank God. I think it's weird when people ask me, like, do you have characters that are inspired by real people, like friends? I don't, because I get confused. And no. Oh, I'm a liar. I did it once, actually. It was my brother. In one of my books, it's called Fallen Again.